Hi, everybody. My name is Tara Short, and I am the lady who's supposedly running this show. So let me just see here. I think we're just seeing Tim at this moment, right? Like, are you seeing me?
I am seeing you.
You're seeing me? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm just seeing you. So I'm Tara Short. I'm the founder of Green Adventures Tours. And thank you very much for taking the time to join us tonight to learn about our two exciting opportunities for women to paddle on big water in beautiful Wisconsin this August. This trip is in partnership with Green Adventures Tours, the Becoming an Outdoors Women program, and the Door County Adventure Center. And so we want to provide women with the opportunity to learn in a non-competitive environment and to get outdoors with like-minded people. Green Adventures Tours has been working with the Becoming an Outdoors Women program since 2010, when I got a call from Peggy Farrell asking me if we could do bow in Baja. And since then, Green Adventures has led many, many trips with the Becoming an Outdoors Women program, from Baja, Mexico, to Costa Rica, to Iceland, and beyond. So we're excited to offer opportunities to celebrate places in the United States right here in your own backyard. And Peggy, would you like to take a moment to talk about the Becoming an Outdoors Women program?
Sure. I just corrected you in the chat. Baja was 2003.
Oh, well, you actually had a Baja trip with another company in 2003.
Oh,
yeah.
But you were
Way
there.
to bring it up. Let's bring it up.
That's right. Okay. Well, I always think of my first international trip with you as being 2003.
The Eleuthera program. It was Eleuthera in the Bahamas. Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, so we did do that together. And it was before I was a business owner, but that was our first bow trip together. It was in Baja. I mean, in the Bahamas.
Right. The years all just roll together and it's all great memories. So we don't need to pick at it. But yes. Angie and Luann, you said you both have some familiarity with Becoming an Outdoors Woman. But for the people who might be listening to the recording, Becoming an Outdoors Woman offers outdoor skills workshops to adult women. And the program started in Wisconsin in 1991. And due to the popularity, it expanded over the years to, at one point, it was in 48 states and 6 Canadian provinces. Today it's in 35 states and 6 Canadian provinces. Not all of the states were able to hold on to their programs due to budget considerations. Oftentimes when a red line is going to get drawn through a state agency program, it's educational programs, unfortunately. But we still think that it's a testament to how good this program is, that it is all across North America and has so many partnerships with other organizations like Green Adventures and Door County Adventures as well. So Tim and I ran our first Becoming an Outdoors workshop in partnership in 1999. Is that right?
It's either 98 or 99.
Yeah, in Door County, and have done several things together since then. So Tara and Tim and I have worked professionally for a number of years together, and also done a bunch of things personally on the side. And what I think is really cool is that both of these people conduct themselves equally professionally, even when we're off the clock, so to speak. Everybody stays safe, everybody learns something. There's a lot of camaraderie, there is a lot of learning, and I count them among my best of friends. So it's really an honor to be able to offer these 2 workshops this year with them. I think that's all I have to say, but I'm happy to answer questions later on as we go on.
Great. Thank you, Peggy, for sharing with us about the Becoming an Outdoorsman program, because really the essence of what we're teaching, our methods during this program are bow methods. And that's what makes and the bow magic, with allowing people, with creating that environment where women can feel comfortable to step outside their comfort zone and be supported and know that they're being taught by experts in the field who have safety first in mind. So with that said, let's talk to Tim Pflieger, and he's our guide and kayak extraordinaire. So please, Tim, go ahead and take it.
So hello, ladies. It is a pleasure. It is always a pleasure. It has always been a pleasure for me to be able to guide and outfit trips and to be an advanced bow instructor for many, many years. It has always been an exciting weekend at a workshop, and it has always been a fulfilling, wonderful experience when we have provided trips together. I talked to you from Door County, Wisconsin, where I am right now, and I want to kind of go through a process here of what these trips are. But before I do that, I also need to introduce 2 other instructors that are joining me in Door County for a kayaking and yoga trip. So ladies, if you could say hi quickly so they know who you are and what we're collaborating on.
Sounds good. So my name's Karen Devine, and this is my bestie, Lisa Curtin here. Longtime bow attendees and instructors as well. Happy to be joining Beyond Bow this coming summer. And we'll talk in a little bit more about kind of our role on the Door County trip. So we're both teachers of yoga, but also little people and big people here in Chicago for academics as well. I'm a high school counselor, and Lisa is a preschool teacher. And we're excited to be joining you all this summer. We'll turn it back over to you, Tim, and then flip it back over when you need us to talk more.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share a presentation right now, and that will allow for me to be able to go through this presentation. I hope I am. So one of the things that I was contemplating quite a while ago is, how do I bring together 2 great opportunities that in my company, we have done a number of things for a number of years. As a professional adventure guide and a professional kayaker, that's something that we have always done. And then through the years, we have done workshops with yoga and mindfulness and reflexology and Pilates, and I've never had an opportunity to bring them both together into one experience. And so this is really how this trip was created in my mind. And Tara and I began to talk about this. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of visual of how this came together and what you could experience on this trip. We're going to be in Door County, Wisconsin. We're going to be in Raleigh's Bay, which I provided you a little bit of a map there on the right-hand side. And Raleigh's Bay is on the Lake Michigan side of the peninsula. And as you move to the northern point of the peninsula, it's that largest big bay that we will be at. And we will be lodged and have housing at Raleigh's Bay Resort. I partner with the resort. I have a zipline operation that's a canopy zipline operation here. and I offer eco kayak tours and rentals at this location. And so the resort has a wonderful Swedish bakery. And so that we'll be able to partake in that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, a midnight snack. Well, you can get as much Swedish bakery as you want. That will be the location, our central location for this entire trip. We will be spending some time on the water, and while we're at the water, we are going to take advantage of both the Mink River, Raleigh's Bay, and we're going to venture out into Lake Michigan. And what's going to dictate some of the locations that we're paddling will have to do with what the wind and wave is doing for the days that we're on the water. And so we have lots of options at this location to make it very, very flat and very, very challenging. And that is always decided as we move through the progression of learning some skills and applying our paddling skills throughout the several days that we're paddling. The Nature Conservancy and the Door County Land Trust, in partnership, as we're looking at this picture, the right-hand side of this screen is all protected by the Nature Conservancy and the Door County Land Trust. On the left-hand side of the screen is one of the semi-wilderness state parks in Door County, one of the 5 state parks, and that's Newport State Park. And so what we're paddling is a a freshwater estuary. And it is an estuary that houses all kinds of amazing opportunities. I paddled it yesterday with my new employees as a part of orientation in my company. And we had an eagle that just would, I think, had we had a tall enough paddle, it would have landed on top of a paddle because it just wanted to paddle with us the whole length of the creek. That was amazing. We don't usually get that. But ospreys, lots of birds. We have endangered species, both critters as well as plants, and we'll talk about that as we're paddling up the Mink River up into. We won't get to the headwaters, but we'll paddle as far up that creek bed as we can. And one of the ideas that we're going to be doing is to see some of these endangered species. We have dwarf iris, that is an endangered species. There's several hundred endangered and threatened species in this estuary. In the center, we have the emerald green Heinz dragonfly, which until the 1990s was thought to be extinct. And the University of Chicago does regular research on this particular insect. And this is one of the few areas in the lake that it is residing today. And bottom right is a Caspian tern, and upper right are all of the local orchids that we have, the lady slippers, whites and purples and reds and pinks and yellows. And so we'll be able to see many of these as we paddle those coastal wetlands. One of the things that we're going to be doing on this trip, I'm not sure it will look like this, so I'm going to turn this over to our yoga instructors to talk about what we're going to do with yoga and mindfulness and reflexology as a part of this trip.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm one of the instructors. This is a great opportunity to combine yoga and kayaking together. So we're going to be offering 2 morning sessions of yoga. And then we're going to be doing an evening yoga program. And then on the last day, we're going to offer stand-up paddleboard yoga. I think that's an option between that and the, what is it? The zip lining. Yeah. I'm just going to talk to you very quickly about the reason that we think that yoga is going to work really well with the kayaking. You're going to be on the water. You're going to be challenging yourself, using different muscles, really kind of exploring new
new challenges for yourself. And we think that yoga is a great way to prep you for it in the morning, prepare, stretching, getting in the mindset of the adventure you're about to take. That would be the first morning. And then the second morning, not only will we be prepping you for that day's paddle, but we'll also kind of help you unwind from the day before, kind of stretching out those muscles that you're using that might need a little bit more attention. We think that it's a good balance between being on the water all day and then using yoga to ground yourself back on the land and help you just find that connection out in nature.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll also, for all participants, we'll have journaling, drawing and writing, journaling going along with the paddling when we stop for lunch, but even also while we're paddling, we can do some meditation, some silent paddling, some reflection. We'll have some prompts for everybody. We'll have one night where we do some candlelit yoga, aromatherapy, maybe a little self-massage too, all about kind of grounding and bringing the water and land together. And we're so excited about this and look forward to answering any questions and seeing a lot of you with us this summer.
Awesome. I think one of the things that makes this location so unique is that we will be able to be on calm waters. And you know, our lives, we're so busy all the time and there's so many pressures and we're going from point A to point B and we're doing all those things that we have to do in our obligations. And this is really a weekend to get away from all of that and immerse yourself into some great waters, learn some wonderful ways to recover your body and explore how you do that with an activity you might not do every day, and to immerse yourself in a really relaxed and hopefully as stress-free as we can make it for you as we're paddling in our locations. So that's kind of the byproduct of this entire experience, is to really just let go of our busy days and our busy lives and come paddle and enjoy the water and enjoy these great two instructors to reconnect with who you are and what you're about as it relates to your body. And so that's what we're going to try and do throughout this experience. So Tara, let's go to questions if there's questions about this trip.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions? While we are, maybe people are thinking about some questions, I have a question. Does everybody have to look like this in order to participate in this yoga program?
Not at all. And one thing I wanted to mention too is that we teach yoga from preschoolers to high school students to seniors to anyone. So we definitely will figure out kind of what everybody needs, any certain accommodations anyone needs. So we will work with wherever we all are. And I always say the mat is your kind of magic carpet and it's what you do on your mat, and same thing with your paddleboard. So we'll keep it safe and fun and we'll build slowly too. So I think we all will look like these three at the end of
Goals.
3 days, but we will be our own true selves. So no, it's wherever we all are, we'll build together, just like the whole bow philosophy. It's just learning new things, having fun. We will learn to fall off the paddleboard because, just like I always say, fall out of your pose, fall off the paddleboard. That's actually the most fun part to do.
And it could be, and I have a little bit of, I think this is an assumption, but I think it has some truth to it. I think some people are intimidated by the word yoga. And so I think, just like you said, reiterating that this is tailored, this is designed for the beginner and tailored to the individual. And this is just another form of stepping outside your comfort zone. But it really does make sense, Tim, to be combining the the mindfulness with paddling, because those two, like the mindfulness of yoga with the movements in paddling, because the two go well together.
And now that you asked that question, I will say this: I'm excited to be able to be in August, because the water today, when I was on the water training guides, was 38 degrees. And I don't think that it'll be that in August. So perhaps we may be in bathing suits by then versus neoprene. And these pictures are from my Florida location, where we do a yoga paddleboard workshop regularly. So I'm hopeful that I'll have new pictures that we can use that are more germane to Door County in August. So.
Great. Angie or Luann or anybody else have any more questions you want to ask?
Yes. What is all provided on these trips for us?
Sure, Tim, do you want to talk about the lodging and meals and the equipment?
Yes, so we're staying at Raleigh's Bay Resort, and we have rooms there at the resort that's provided for the evening's recovery. We have meals that are provided. We have bakery. The restaurant right now at the resort has some limitations due to staffing, but we'll have box lunches that we'll probably take with us out onto the water. And then we're going to be creative with the evening meals in terms of what we utilize there, because the resort, I'm not sure yet what they're going to be accommodating for us for dinner meals. But we have local restaurants within a 20 to 30 minute drive. So those meals are also provided within the trip. All instruction, all equipment, everything that you need for both water and land are provided with this trip.
The only thing that isn't included would be local transportation. So people do need to shuttle themselves around in their own vehicles. But I'm pulling up the page right now, but I believe it's from dinner on day 1 to breakfast on day 4. But we try to provide all inclusive from the time the trip starts to the morning that it ends.
And the travel piece is pretty short distances. If we have to move to different water, it's probably a 20-minute to 30-minute drive at the longest if we have to move from the Lake Michigan side of the peninsula over to the Bay of Green Bay side to get calm waters. So again, that will dictate based on what the weather is happening within those days.
And Tim, do you want to tell them how much water time is? This trip is a lot of water time, and that's the goal, right? To give people more access to paddling.
We'll start on the first day of arrival doing some instruction on the water. So there'll be a short couple hours of water instruction. The day will be broken up where we're going to be paddling. If we're on the Mink River, I'll tell you, it may be a full day on the water, but we're going to be mixing that up with some other on-water activities. When we break for lunch, we'll move to shoreline so we can get a stretch and we can get out and relax. And we'll time that to places where we're able to take advantage of some facilities. So even though I might say that we're going to spend the entire day on the water, that's not really true in terms of what we're doing on the water. This isn't a marathon. We're not trying to get from point A to point B in a period of time where we're really pushing ourselves. And so there is more of a relaxed approach to this trip in terms of how we spend our time on the water. There is an opportunity one night, and we'll have to see again what's happening. We may add in an evening paddle and to go out onto the water and to enjoy an evening paddle, but that will be completely based on what the conditions are.
Oh, and you should let them know about the fish boil. That's one of the fun things it's scheduled to do.
It is. The question that I have right now with the resort is, I just found out yesterday that due to their staffing needs, there are some limitations, excuse me, in terms of what they're doing with their traditional fish boil. So I've got to get an answer from the resort of whether we'll be able to do it right there on that property, or if we need to go over to Ellison Bay to the restaurant there to do the fish boil. The fish boil is a Door County tradition, either whitefish or trout, depending upon who's doing the boil. Potatoes and onions all goes into a large kettle. It's boiled over a fire. It's then served with rye bread, and it's then has dessert, of course, cherry pie, because we're in Door County. And so not sure exactly yet, Tara, which locale we're going to use for that.
And that's fine. It's just one of those things that's like a kind of the one of the hooks. You know, when you go to Door County, you know,
Gotta do a
the
fish
fish
boil.
boil. Yeah, gotta do a fish boil.
Yeah.
Right. So it's dinner on day 1 to lunch on day 4 is what's included. All the kayaking equipment and instruction. And the only thing that is not included is gratuities and local transportation.
Any other
Great.
questions about this trip?
Oops.
Angie, do you have a question? Oh. Okay, so with that said, why don't you move on to the Apostle Islands trip, Tim?
And Peggy, you may have to refresh my memory on this. I don't remember the first year that I don't remember what year it was that we first offered this trip. I do remember having 21 women on this trip that first year. But I don't remember what year it was that we did that. Early 2000s?
Yes, I think so. I would have to go back and look.
Yeah.
We've done so many that I'm afraid that it doesn't stick in my head, but
Yeah, same with me. But yeah, we have done this trip for a long time.
we have. And at one point, Tara and I joined up and just tagged along. We weren't instructors. We were just going for the fun of it. And if anybody needs a testimonial, I think we can both provide that because it was really wonderful.
And the time of year is great too. End of summer up in northern Wisconsin. It's just beautiful for one. You're just starting to get the change of the tree colors. But Lake Superior, I mean, I live in Chicago, so I have the Lake Michigan. I love Lake Michigan, but Lake Superior just feels like an ocean to me. And to be able to paddle across that was truly like extraordinary and memorable for me. But I won't steal Tim's thunder. Why don't you talk about this trip, Tim, and we can go over the inclusions, exclusions stuff when you're done.
All right. So we're going to again be staying at this wonderful location. I've had the pleasure now to know 3 different owners of this property. This is my property of choice when I can do this trip versus camping. I have also done it with a camping option, but Woodside Cottages is going to be our lodging. These are just beautiful, well-kept, manicured lawns. It's just a beautiful setting to get off the water at the end of the day and have a hot shower and have a warm bed. And so this is really ideal for what we'll be doing in terms of our lodging. Woodside Cottages is just south on the highway of Bayfield. And so this is our headquarters for this trip. This is where we're going to call home for several days. And then we'll be doing day trips to different locations to paddle. And those paddles, one of the highlights is to paddle out about a 4-mile paddle across open water from the mainland to Sand Island, where we can really, what I believe to be some of the nicest sea caves in the Apostles. Everyone knows Myers Beach, and we're going to leave all the hundreds of people to Myers Beach, and we're not going to really go to Myers Beach unless we have to. We'd rather paddle out to these caves and enjoy paddling around the island, then to the lighthouse that's been fully refurbished. And when there's a docent there, we can get a tour of that lighthouse. It all depends upon the timing of when we're there and whether there's a docent there to give us a tour. But that is one of the highlights of this trip. If we have weather conditions on the day we're supposed to do this and we can't do the crossing, then we're going to go over to Bark Bay, which is basically a lazy river called a slough, out into Lake Superior, and then paddle along the coastline to find some hidden caves that a lot of people don't know about, that I've been visiting for years. We'll have lunch on this huge rock ledge and enjoy the view of Lake Superior, go through the caves, and then paddle back through the slough. And so we have a couple of different options there to be out on that big water. Of course, we're going to start this trip day one. Again, working on paddling skills. We'll be coastal along the shoreline, learning how to use our equipment, learning how to paddle your craft. For this trip, and I should have mentioned in the previous trip, we will be using tandem kayaks. And the reason I use tandem kayaks, it allows us to maximize numbers without as many boats on the water. And that allows us to be and maintain our group. And we can handle then a little bit more challenging water because of the size of the craft and the buoyancy of the craft versus putting people in single boats. And so we do use tandem boats for these two trips. It has served us greatly on Lake Superior to be able to still try and paddle in these open water crossings. One of the things that happens on this trip is that, oh my goodness, somebody put a little surprise picture in here on me again. I've got to stop having people help me put together these presentations. So one of the things that happens on these trips is that you're going to have, again, immersed into a paddling location where we're going to enjoy the scenery. We're going to be able to explore waters that in a way that you might not normally be able to, and to really have several days that's going to allow us to really work on our paddling skills and experience Lake Superior in a unique way. And that last day will determine where we paddle in terms of how people are doing with their bodies. And we have several different locations that we do that last morning. And again, there's an opportunity during this trip to go out onto the water at night and to view all of the beautiful lights of Bayfield while we're out on the water. That bottom right-hand picture is a Kai zip tour that we do here in Door County, but no, we do not put kayaks on a zip line and go down the zip line. This was a marketing idea that a marketing intern asked me to do for a picture, but it was for our advertisement of our Kai zip tour. But we will be paddling in paradise. Questions that you have about this trip?
What I also want to point out too on this trip is, so the Woodside Cottages that Tim was talking about right at the beginning, they each have 2 bedrooms in them, and each bedroom is 1 bed. So no more than 2 people will share 1 cottage, and each person will have their own single bedroom. There is a shared bath, but that's kind of the nice thing about it. It's like you know, you're not in a hotel room with beds side by side. You're actually in a cottage with 2 bedrooms in the cottage. Also included on this trip, we have the at least two of the kayaking opportunities that Tim talked about, the paddle across Sand Island, Bark Bay. We'll do instruction, but also we're going to visit a Wisconsin orchard or berry farm, depending on what is available in season at that moment. And we're also going to take a 2.5-hour boat cruise around the Apostle Islands. Tim, how many Apostle Islands are there?
21.
21. And we're only
But
going
there's only
to
12 because it's the apostles.
Oh, okay. So, oh, you threw me off there for a second. So, is there, wait, is there 12 or 21?
There's 12. There's 12.
Oh, okay.
There's
Because of
12.
the
I
apostles?
flipped the numbers on you. That was a
Oh,
little
okay.
paddling humor there.
All right.
That was
really threw me off.
dyslexia paddling humor.
I was like, all of a sudden I was like trying to think about my biblical information. And so point is that there are more islands to explore that would take days on like a through paddle to different islands, camping. And that's a whole nother, like that's expedition style. And this, we wanted to give people the chance to feel what it's like to paddle on big water as a way to kind of like dip your toes into the next step. So, but the boat cruise will take you around to some of the different islands too. So for this trip, we have a little bit of topside activity and water activity. The meals are, so breakfast, each cabin is going to be stocked with breakfast materials or supplies. There'll be eggs and bread and milk and coffee and other things and fruits for you to make breakfast. Lunches will be packed lunches or box lunches for paddling days. And then dinners will be, one dinner will be out at a restaurant and the other 2 dinners will be like a takeout from a restaurant. So we'll order from the menu, but we'll bring the food back to the cabins. And we find that just allows for things to, like, allows for us to spend more time doing the activities instead of sitting around waiting at restaurants and being shuffled around for meal time. This is about getting you out and exploring as much of this beautiful location as possible. So this is the same price as the Door County trip. It's $1,750. And the deposit for this and Door County is due by June 1st. Great. So any questions about
Transportation on this trip?
Oh,
also.
yes. So transportation on this one. You bring transportation is not included. So people will drive in their own cars. Once we know, after the trip is confirmed, we need 10 participants to fill the trips or to confirm the trips. Once the trip is confirmed, we create a Facebook group and people can communicate with each other. We've had people carpool. I wouldn't rely solely on carpooling. I would plan on signing up on this trip as if you are going to get yourself to a location. But we have worked it out where people can fly into like on a Rhinelander, for example, from out of state. And someone who lives in Wisconsin is passing by Rhinelander, picks them up and takes them to Bayfield. Same thing could happen, Green Bay to a Door County trip too. So we want to, when you sign up, you're not signing up on just some random tour. You're signing up on a trip with friends. And and you may not know anybody on the trip, but you will know Tim on site. And he's one of your first friends on site and somebody's gonna be looking out for you. And then you have someone like me who's on the back end of things helping to coordinate, and you can always reach out to me and I can help you figure out logistics. So you have a whole team trying to help you, do this experience. Tim, anything else you want to add?
I think that this trip's going to, again, really give you a different experience from a paddling perspective. We're going to be paddling very, very easy water, and we're going to be paddling water that can be very, very challenging, but we're going to make really some safe decisions about when we're paddling those waters. So you do not need to worry about being a beginner or a novice paddler on this trip. We historically, since the first time we did this trip, we had a woman on the first trip who didn't even know how to swim. And we helped her learn how to do a doggy paddle, and she had a great time on that trip. So you don't need to be anxious at all about participating ever in a bow workshop or a beyond bow trip. And you don't have to be nervous at all about your paddling skills for this trip, because that's really what we do. We help you get comfortable to be able to enjoy your participation in this trip.
Great. So if you want to book the trip, you could go to one of two places. You could go to the Becoming an Outdoors Woman website, or you can go to greenedventures.com. So that's green like the color, ed like education, ventures.com. Click on Wisconsin as the destination, and you'll see Wisconsin trips listed there. I'm also going to, if you're watching this as a recording, I'm going to put this in the description. The booking link is in the description, along with the contact information. So you could reach out to talk to one of us directly if you have questions.
Does anyone
Great.
have any questions about the Apostles kayaking trip?
Can I get the dates again for these trips?
Sure. Yeah. So the Door County trip is August 12th through 15th. And the Apostle Islands trip is August 25th through the 28th. And Tim, do you, since Luann has her own kayak, well, could she bring her own kayak to the Apostle Islands? If how do you work with that? Yeah.
So one of the things that I request, if people are bringing their own kayak on a trip, and it can be done for either one, it needs to be a kayak that is of a coastal or sea kayak type, like this picture that I have at the top of this last slide. What I'm looking for is a sit-in style cockpit with a spray deck and bulkheads, both bow and stern, and a minimum of 14 to 15 feet. Because we're going to be paddling bigger water, it makes it less challenging to paddle with a longer boat. And so those are the minimum requirements for that craft. But I encourage people who have their own kayak, have their own paddling gear, of course, to paddle that on these trips. They'll be more familiar with the craft and with the gear. So it's more than welcome. We'll have a discussion and vet out that information if they want to bring their own craft.
Okay. Yeah, my kayak is, I think, 14.5 foot. Looks just about like that.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have a rudder or a skag on it?
skag.
Great. That will accomplish on those waters greatly what we need to do from getting from point A to point B.
I'm jealous. I wish I could be everywhere all the time.
Yeah. Me too.
I just want
So
to be.
Tim,
Go ahead.
because Lake Superior never really gets warm, you also have loaner wetsuits for people, don't you?
Yes. One of the things that happens on these trips is that I send out a packing list to everyone once we have registration. And I have a questionnaire that goes out that asks some things about the food and asks some things about whether you're bringing your own boat or what gear you're bringing. And one of those questions is, what is the size that I need to be prepared for in terms of a wetsuit, so that I have the correct mix of wetsuits along that people can try on. I'll bring some paddling jackets also for that outer layer, and I'll have, again, a plethora of flotation devices for everyone. But that's a part of that questionnaire and a part of that packing list.
Great.
Okay.
Well, if that's, I think we've covered everything. I really appreciate everybody who's joined us and who's watching, who's taken the time to learn about these trips. Like I said before, if you have any questions, you can reach out to, my information is going to be the one that's out there for you to contact, but I will put you in touch with Tim or Peggy, or Nancy, Lisa or Karen, regarding if you have questions about yoga, whoever I need to direct you to, I will. But I think we're going to sign off for now, and thank you again for attending, and we hope that you will join us either in Bayfield or in Door County this August for a fun kayaking adventure with some paddle pals.
Come paddling with us.